In this video, I will show you how to set up simple layer styles to your Photoshop documents. I will show you how to create layer styles from scratch and also how to copy them from existing files. This exercise has 2 files attached and a couple of links where you can find existing layer styles, and I will be showing you how to use them in this lesson. First, I'm going to start by creating a new file. In Photoshop, I'm going to File, clicking on New. I'm going to use the preset Web just so that I get a small workable document. I'll click OK. Next, I'm going to create a new layer. Since layer styles really work better in transparent layers, I still do have this white background that I just turned off. I'll turn it back on so that we have a point of reference. And I'm going to start fairly simple here. I'm going to select the entire area of the layer and fill it in with a color. I'll just fill it in with white for now. Click OK. Not much change since the background was already white. I now have a layer that's full of white that's basically identical to the background, except that it's not locked and it's not part of the background itself. There's multiple ways to apply layer styles. At some point you may have already seen your styles menu on the side dock. You can apply styles simply by clicking these icons. They sort of show you what they are. You'll see the name when you hover. This is a blue glass. This is sunspots, etc., etc. You can choose to see them by the icon and their image representation, or you can click by text only, and that way you can see what they're called. I prefer to use the thumbnail so that I have an idea of what I'm clicking on. These pre-built styles are basically a combination of effects that have already been placed on existing images. You can see that in the layer, effects have grown out to show you what kind of effects have been applied to this file. Each one of these effects is now represented almost like a layer is. It's got its own little eye that you can click to turn off the effect. If I were to turn off just the inner glow, that would go away, the color overlay would change, etc. I could right click on the layer itself and just tell it to clear the layer style so that it's blank again. Another way to add layer styles is to use the effects button. It's the second from the left down here. I'm going to do a simple one. I'm just going to give it a drop shadow. It gives me options here. I'm going to change the angle to 135. You can use whichever angle your illustration calls for. You can change the distance, and you can change the spread, and you can change the size. And yes, I'm changing lots of things and nothing is happening, and that is because, once again, this white area is covering the entire stage in the picture, as it were. However, that doesn't mean that these styles were not applied. You can see that in the effects there is a drop shadow. I can double click on the drop shadow and see the changes that I made. There's my angle, my distance, spread, and size. I'll click OK to accept that. I'm now going to press Ctrl T, or I could also go to Edit, Free Transform. I get my anchors, and I'm going to bring down the size of the square. We now have the checkerboard up here that tells me that there's a transparency in this layer again, and I double click to accept, and now the drop shadow becomes evident. The layer styles will be applied to the image no matter where it is on the stage. If I were to go back and double click to edit again, I can change, as an example, the shade of the shadow. I can change the spread again. I can make it a little bit more distant. And of course I can also apply other effects, such as changing the color overlay. If I didn't want that to be a white square but rather a blue one, I could make that change. I can apply multiple effects and in the end actually generate my own layer style. At any one point I can apply any of the other styles that were already saved, and you can see how these work maybe a little bit better. I'll move this out of the way and bring in my text tool. I'm going to type just one word, Photoshop. Make this larger so that it can be read. And let me make this a little larger, pressing Control T, expanding. And let me apply the first effect. I'll give it a drop shadow. Blend mode is multiply, opacity is at 75%, and I'm going to give it a little bit more distance and make it a little bit more feathery. Click OK. I can also use any of these filters above. Completely up to you what you want to achieve with these. For the assignment, basically I want you to play with the styles and give me some images that you created. You can use any of the styles provided in Photoshop. You can create your own. You can also use the two files provided, the two examples. Here's example 1 and example 2. Let's say that this glossy effect is something that you want to use. You could do a couple of things. You could double click on the T in the text layer and type in your own word and copy it to a new file. You could also right click on the effects and copy the layer style. I'll copy that layer style and bring it to my Photoshop text. Right click and paste the layer style. So now the effect that is in the sample is also in my current file. I could also copy the layer style, right click to copy, and bring it to my other part of the image, paste it. It doesn't work the same on a square since this was meant for a circular area. You can also play with effects available online. I have provided a link to DeviantArt. They have lots of styles to choose from, and basically you would be downloading a PSD file. I'll click on this one and download it. I'll save it where I can find it. And open up the Photoshop document. And I will just copy one of these. The elegant one is on the top row. There's elegant. And it's got the effects. I'll copy this layer style. Go back to my test file. And apply the effects to just that one layer. And there's my elegant applied. So there's no right or wrong way of doing this assignment. Just have fun with the effects. Discover what's out there. Do your own searches online to see if you can't find any more layer effects that you can download, and turn in a file with all your findings.